Hey everyone, Gavin here. Today we're going to go over Softube's Transient Shaper plugin. This is one of my more favorite plugins for just kind of reshaping any sound that I throw it on to where I can either add transients and body to a sound or just kind of take those features away to tame certain aspects of it. So we'll dive into it. We're going to test it on a kick, a loop, and an ARP. And we're going to start with the kick and just go over the features with the kick. So starting out, here's our kick. It's a kicky kick. Now, we got our punch knob, which basically determines the volume of the actual transient, the very beginning of the sound. And we increase the punch. It makes it punchy. Big surprise. If we turn it down, it can drastically soften the sound that you're working with. This is already great for just either adding transients to a non-punchy sound or softening some really sharp transients that you don't want to have. There is a high, wide, and low frequency control, like the band that you're controlling. So these sections work in conjunction with the crossover knob. So basically the way it works, if I have it set to high, then this transient shaper will only affect frequencies to the right of this blue indicator on the crossover knob. So let's kind of fiddle with that. Almost functions like a sort of loose filter to determine exactly what's going to get boosted or cut. Same thing applies with low, just the opposite side. So if I have it set to low, any frequencies to the left of the blue indicator are going to be affected by the transient shaping. So very useful for dialing in exactly what you want to be punchy or not punchy and where. There's also a fast and slow switch, which just determines how long the transient itself lasts. We've already been listening to slow. If we switch it over to fast, it just makes the transient very clicky. So with it set to fast, you might not hear as much of a difference on the low section. It almost feels like if you have it on wide and fast, or high and fast, though that's where you hear it on the most with the fast setting. The other half of this plugin is the sustain section, which basically determines what happens to the body of the sound after the transient. So we can either make a sound that has a really sharp transient but no body, sound a little more full, and make it sound slightly longer by just increasing the volume of any body that's present. So here's how that sounds. Now you'll notice that there's quite a bit of clipping going on. So what I can do there, I can either reduce the level a little, or I can turn off clipping entirely and just do some extra mixing there. Yeah, there's a lovely little distortion algorithm on the clipper side of it. If I turn off clipping entirely, then it just basically shoots the sound straight to my mixer, which maybe that's how I want it to sound, maybe it's not. I like to leave the clipper on this thing since you're adjusting basically the volume of either the transient or the body. It can get pretty loud pretty fast. So those are all the main features of the thing. Let's go ahead and move on to the loop and kind of fiddle with our loops transient shaper right here. So let's, oh no, I controlled the wrong thing. All right, let's fiddle with this sound and kind of, I'm just going to play with the shaper on the loop and let's see what happens to it. If I can set it to the right setting. Alright, so that's our loop. Let's listen to it with and without the shaper. Alright, so for me, like, you'll of course be adjusting this to sound the way you want it to. For me, I like how that kind of cleaned, how reducing the sustain but increasing the punch kind of helped clean up the loop a little bit so that it'll sit better in a mix. Couple of observations about it. I had observations. Where are my observations? Okay, so one of them, I've noticed that when I have it on a loop, if I have it set to slow, it feels like it functions almost like a compressor with that's causing a pumping effect with a low threshold, a quick attack, and a long release tail, where it almost feels like the first sound is really punchy and then the rest of it just kind of fades in and out in gain with the volume of each individual sound that's coming in. So it makes it sound like at first it's super punchy and then not as punchy later on with a loop. So something I would love if they did to remedy that would be getting rid of the fast and slow switches and actually give you compressor controls, threshold, attack, release, so you can get even more defined control over those features. However, again, this plugin was designed with simplicity in mind. There's only 8 controls. And the idea behind it is so that you don't have to waste time dialing in 50,000 different things just to get it to sound the way you want. Softube designed it with simplicity in mind, and it does exactly what they built it for. So, I mean, I can't fault them for that much. So, let's go ahead and move on to the arpeggio. So that's the nice thing about it. While this works really well for drums and percussion, it doesn't have to be drums only. You can also use it on synthesizers. So we're going to go ahead and fiddle with that right quick. I'm just going to play my arp and going to tweak the things just like before. So with synthesizers, there's a lot of extra things that you can do with it, like as evidenced by just twiddling the sustain knob. This thing would go extremely well with automation, to where you could create an LFO, link it to your sustain, and as you can see, when there's a reverb and delay mixed into the sound, that really helps fill up the sound and make it extra wide, or then make it sound nice and small. And just, there's such cool stuff that you can do with this just to shape and tweak your sound. So you can throw this on just about anything and tweak it to your heart's content. So it functions as a mixing tool and helping clean up certain aspects of your mix, or just boosting the heck out of stuff to make it fatter or punchier or clickier. So just all in all, I think that Softube designed a fantastic plugin. It's personally my favorite plugin by them, and I can definitely highly recommend this for really anyone to kind of fiddle with it. So at this point, that concludes the video. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you're interested in buying this, I've included the plugin boutique link down in the description. If you like the video, please hit like and subscribe. If you don't, that just makes me, well, screw it. It's your choice. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good day.